I was working, I used to work in the corporate life, working for Virgin Atlantic as an engineer, and I kind of was partying hard at the weekends. I was not living in the healthiest lifestyle, and I just kind of hit rock bottom. Part of my journey of spiritual awakening, if I can call it that, it's a bit cliche, has been the Tantra path.
Hello everybody and welcome to another podcast. My name is Moran and this is a conscious conversation with my friend who lives on Copenhagen, Tristan. But before we get into this amazing podcast, I want to let you know that the day has finally arrived. Depending on when you're watching this podcast, you might remember that I introduced you to our own straws. We finally got some straws, but now I just want to show the camera, make sure, Antonio, can they see that, right? We've actually got branded coconuts. You can see the logo and the Brett Moran. Go on, Tristan, get it up. We're introducing now. Now you're working with a brand.
Look at this, the Brett Moran coconut. This is amazing.
This is like an advert, isn't it?
It is,
yeah. Right?
I've known you for 2 years, Brett, and eventually you've come out with a coconut. It's a genius.
Some people like Elon Musk, he's sending rockets out to space. Wow, big deal. Gandhi,
Keep it simple.
He created loads of peace in the world. Woof. Did anybody put their brand on a coconut, their little face? I don't think they did.
Yeah.
So this is a day for me, mate.
Indeed.
This is a day. With that said, mate, enough about you. Let's talk more about me. Tristan, mate, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me, Brett. Really happy to be here.
Yeah, and let's just go straight into it. You mentioned something which I never knew. How did you first find meditation? You just told me a story, which is the first time I've heard that, and I was like, wow.
Back in 2009, I was working, I used to work in the corporate life, working for Virgin Atlantic as an engineer, and I kind of was partying hard at the weekends. I was not living in the healthiest lifestyle, and I just kind of hit rock bottom. And driving to work one day in my car, I was just like, fuck, I can't do this anymore. I had enough. Something has to change in my life. I don't know what. I stopped the car, I phoned my boss and said, "Look, I'm not coming into work." Went back home, and then I found myself in the afternoon walking around the streets of Brighton, and then just by chance I walk into the Brighton Buddhist Centre.
You just literally walked in?
Just walked in. I didn't know where I was going, what I was doing. I was completely lost. My life had hit like a real rock bottom place. Through the excessive partying, not being happy within myself, not dealing with my emotional issues, I was like rock bottom. Yeah, so walking through the streets of Brighton, randomly walking to the Brighton Buddhist Centre, had a conversation with a woman, still can remember her name, Catherine, told me about meditation.
You never heard of meditation before?
Never heard of it. I've heard of it before, but I've never done it. And then that afternoon I did my first meditation, half an hour.
Yeah.
And then that was the start of my, spiritual journey back in 2009.
Mate, it's lovely. I want to get deeper into it, but make sure you put your podcast with coconuts like that. Mate, I spent like 50 baht on it.
Sorry. All right.
So on a serious note, that's the first time you got onto this, we call it spiritual path. We'll go into that a bit more, but you went out the night before, the weekend before, you was getting smashed on drugs, partying, or...
For me, I was working hard. I had a really responsible job. I used to work for an airline, I won't say which one, as an engineer. I was traveling the world. I had a really good salary. I was working hard, but I was also partying hard at the weekend.
Yeah.
It's Monday to Friday in the office, weekends party hard, hangover on the Monday morning, recover during the week, same again at the weekend. And I was on this rabbit wheel, I was on this Ferris wheel.
Yeah.
This cycle.
I hope you've ever seen a rabbit on a wheel.
Yeah. And it was like I was asking myself the question, is this it? Is this life? I remember one day walking into the office. This was a real big turning point, and one of my colleagues was retiring, 65 years old, and the biggest conversation on his mind for his day of retirement was which widescreen TV he was going to buy. And I was like,
Sony,
fuck.
obviously a Sony, right?
Sony, but I was like, what is this? What I've got? Another 30 years of my life to look forward to, which freaking TV I'm going to buy? Because I was doing a job that gave me the money, that gave me the lifestyle, but it wasn't nourishing my heart in any way whatsoever. I wasn't living my purpose.
Yeah, so it wasn't just like getting on it and the drugs. It was like a mixture of everything. It was like the job. You wasn't really in a job that ignited your purpose and your passion. It was a mixture of everything.
Correct. Yeah. The job gave me the money. It gave me the ability to buy a house, to have the lifestyle, but I wasn't living my purpose. I wasn't living my joy at all.
You just go, there's millions of people going through this, mate. I remember I was in a factory stacking shelves. I'd go to work at 7 o'clock at night and I'd finish at 4 o'clock in the morning. And I remember this guy, can't remember his name, but he would be in the canteen at 12 o'clock or whatever it was at night that we'd have our lunch. And he was cutting up this orange and he would do the same thing every night. And he was like coming up to his retirement. I'm like, what are you going to do? And he's like, well, the company gives me a bottle of champagne. And I just remember, I was thinking, what am I doing with my life? I had to get out. So yeah, a lot of people are going through that. Do you feel like you need to get to the rock bottom to kind of come out of it, or?
For me, I did. I had to go through that process. I don't know about other people. For me, I couldn't go any lower. I'd reached the lowest of the low.
What is the lowest of lows? Like suicidal thoughts?
Yeah.
Drugs?
Yeah. My girlfriend that weekend had left me, or my wife actually, sorry, girlfriend, wife. She had left me. It was like, because I was just, every weekend I was partying.
So she left you because you was...
Yeah. I was drinking alcohol during the week and passing out on the living room floor, and she was having to take me up to bed. I was waking up in the morning on the living room floor after having drunk 3 bottles of wine, because I was just using alcohol to numb any sense of feeling. I had deep, I guess, emotions and trauma that I needed to release and needed to feel. I know this now, I didn't know that then, but I was using the drugs and the alcohol to suppress those feelings. Boom, until I hit the rock bottom on having this massive blowout one weekend, realizing I can't continue with this life. I cannot continue with this life, otherwise I'm going to be dead. You know, that was it.
And that's when you accidentally... Do you feel like... It's a bit of a woo-woo concept, but I really believe... Somebody said once that coincidences are God's way of remaining anonymous. So do you feel like it was a coincidence you accidentally stumbled into this Buddhist temple? Now, I know you living on Koh Phangan, and we're getting to where you're at now, and your lifestyle now. Or do you think it was meant to be? Does it feel like it was like the path for you?
There's something along that lines. Yeah, I haven't really thought about it until you just brought it up in conversation now. But I remember during the day, I just didn't know what I was doing. I just surrendered myself to, like, I know I need to change, but I haven't got a clue. Like, it was almost like I was maybe subconsciously asking the universe, like, show me something, give me guidance as to what I need to do, but I don't know what it is. And then I just found myself walking the streets of Brighton into the Buddhist centre. And then that started the whole journey.
And you became a monk?
No, not quite. I think I went about a week later or 2 weeks later. I went on my first Vipassana retreat.
In Brighton?
No, it's in a place in Sussex, in the countryside, like a 2-day retreat. And that really opened the door. Being silent, being able to be with the silence within yourself, you know, was like revolutionary for me.
Did you find it easy, or was it hard when you first went into the silence?
Well, first of all, it was the first weekend I've been sober for a long time. So that was actually really hard. That was the first thing.
I don't think they sell alcohol in them.
No, they don't. Being silent, it took a lot for me, for the monkey mind, for the chatter to calm down. And the meditations that we did, they were guided. So there was like, I seem to remember there was somebody guiding us during the meditation. So you had that kind of cue to, like, watch and observe your own mind, come back to the breath, you know. Yeah. But yeah, my mind was just working a million miles an hour. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, because for some people, like, that silence can be a challenge in itself, you know. You
Yeah.
hit the rock bottom, you got the drugs and the alcohol, whatever's going on in your life, but just to sit in silence, for me, like, people have a perception of meditation, it's pretty easy. It's like sometimes it's the hardest thing in the world to watch what's going on in your own brain, you know?
For sure. Yeah. I think as I went further into the path and I continued with the meditation, I was in and out of it. You kind of hit barriers.
Yeah.
You know, you get to a point in the meditation, I can do it for 20 minutes. Oh, now I can do it for half an hour.
Yeah.
Now I can do it for 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Some days it might be 10 and I need to stop. I think the biggest challenge for me was a few years later when I went and did a 12-day Vipassana. That was the life-changing moment, you know.
It's just silence for like 10 hours. Silence all the time.
Silence all the time. You're not talking to anybody for 12 days, but you're surrounded by other people. Yeah, it's a different thing.
And did you know when you went in, our paths are so similar, mate.
Yeah.
You know when you first went into that temple, did you come out and that's it, you gave up alcohol and drugs? Or did you kind of go out and party a little bit, then come back onto the path and kind of like...
No, I managed both. I think back in 2009, when I had my kind of burnout breakdown, discovering meditation, I enrolled myself into AA and NA, Narcotics Anonymous, and I went on to their 12-step program. So I did that for 6 months, a year, to help me kind of look at my addictions and stop my addictions to alcohol and drugs at the time. And then I continued with probably 3 years of sobriety, and then I would allow myself to have a drink occasionally, every now and again.
Yeah.
And now I've come to the point in my life that I want to cut alcohol.
Get bang on it.
No. Maybe. You want to do that now? Yeah, okay. I've come to the point in my life, I'm 50 years old, I've been enjoying my life since my, 20s or early teens, where I really want to sort of pay a closer attention to my health and fitness. And one of the things I want to do is give up alcohol, because when I drink alcohol the next day, I feel crap. My productivity's down, my brain's not working. So
I know it's such an obvious thing to say, but it really hit me when I really figured it out. Like, alcohol is a poison for the body. Like, it's not like I've got a hangover and I feel shit. It's like putting weed killer in a plant pot for a beautiful, rose. You're putting like poison into the body. I find that mad how we're so brainwashed to we just get smashed on the weekend, and then like the next day you feel shit for 2 or 3 days. But you wonder, for some people, not everybody, because people can just keep on going, right? But then you wonder, like, why does the body feel so bad? And it's like you're literally poisoning the system, the organic system. I just find it absolutely mental, right? But when you're there and you're doing it, it's just like, I've got a hangover. Normally, I don't know about you, but I'll just wake up and just start drinking and do a line and crack on again. It's like, I didn't really have a hangover because it was just a long blur for years.
That would have been the past. And we're both from England.
Yeah.
And we know the story in England, Monday to Friday work, weekends, go out down the pub with your mates and
I wish it was that. It was just every day drinking.
Really?
But yeah.
Oh,
I was a scaffolder, so we'd go, as soon as we finished work, we'd go straight down the pub and get smashed. I'd get in these scaffold lorries and drive these lorries the next morning hammered, driving them to work, doing like a line of coke on the way to work. It was mental. And then Fridays and Saturdays were my favourite days because they were for crack cocaine. But I wouldn't smoke crack on the weekend because I had responsibility. On the weeks because I had responsibility.
It's good you've kept that level of responsibility.
Responsibilities, mate, till it went bandy. But what I was going to say is, you hit a good point there. Like, there is this culture in England, like, and again, our paths are so similar that, if I really look back, even though I'm laughing and joking now, the reason why I self-sabotaged and was so self-destructive was because I just never understood myself from an emotional, psychological, even if you want to call it spiritual level. I was literally escaping and numbing out. Don't get me wrong, when I first started drinking and going to Ibiza and taking a couple of pills, I was like, this is amazing, having sex with beautiful women, like, this is great. But then addiction kicks in, and then before you know it, it controls you. And for me, it was like a rock bottom for years. Yeah. But now, like years later, I can look back and go, wow, isn't it funny that a lot of, maybe girls as well, but for men that I speak to, it's like, that was our way in England to kind of like be emotional. Like, we numb the pain out. And I kind of get that from you. You're sort of saying you didn't really understand yourself emotionally. So what did you have to do to understand yourself emotionally or traumas? What was it that kind of, do you know what led you to kind of like rock bottom?
What led me to the rock bottom?
Yeah, because you say you was drinking because you didn't really understand yourself, or there's an emotional pain there.
For me, I was drinking to numb the pain of not really living my life purpose. I wasn't, like, now I do a job that I love doing. I love getting up and putting on the events I do and doing the DJing and all the other things that I do. But back then, I was just doing the job for the money. And then from the money, I'd buy the house, bought the car, and I was in this trap, this wheel,
Yeah.
And so I wasn't living my purpose. And I remember, I just remember so many moments I had round about that time, 2008, 2009, just thinking, is this what life is? Is this what I'm going to do for the rest of my life? Go to this office from 9 till 5, do this job that I freaking hate, but I like the money, for the rest of my life until I'm 65. Mm-hmm. That was the wake-up call. Like, that was the wake-up call. Was like, there must be another way. There must be another way to life, but I didn't know what it was. I just knew this path wasn't the path for me. Yeah, and I was very lucky. 2009, it was the financial crisis. I just hit sort of rock bottom, and the company that I was working for was looking to get rid of employees, lay people off. and I voluntary redundancy.
Brilliant.
So I was super lucky. I took the money and I ran. I left the job.
What about people that are not super lucky, that maybe are not, they're at rock bottom, but they might not be taking drugs as much as we did, but they just kind of not happy, they're stuck, they're in a job, they just feel like they're not living their purpose. What would you say to somebody like now?
I would say change one thing at a time. I mean, for me, when I changed my life from drinking, I changed everything. I did it super quick. I had to change my whole group of friends because all the friends that I hung out with at the time were drinking or doing drugs. And if I hung out with them, I'd want to do the same.
Yeah.
So I changed my group of friends. I got a small friends group from the AA group that I was going to. So yeah, making small changes or a big change.
Yeah.
And I don't know, what was it for you? What did you do, Brett?
For me, it's exactly, again, our paths are so similar. I was in Pattaya in Thailand, and a go-go girl, I was with a go-go girl all night, partying and smoking yabba, and the next day she took me to a Buddhist temple. And, I was brought up on a council estate. My dad was a racist football hooligan.
Yeah.
And there I am on my hands and knees praying to this dude called the Buddha with this like Thai prostitute. She was adorable,
Wow.
And she I don't know, and I just felt like, that's why I was asking you, like, now I look back and I can make up a story, but that was so meant to be. Now the house that we're in right now in the podcast is literally next door to a Buddhist temple. My next door neighbours are now monks instead of drug dealers, which is brilliant. So I can look at how all the dots have connected. At that time, I never had a clue, but I just surrendered and I just asked the sky or the God or the Buddha, whatever you want to label it, I just asked for help. I knew that I hated myself. I hated what I was doing to women. I hated what I was doing with the drugs to myself. I couldn't stop it at that time. And I was just kind of, if I'm honest, I just begged for some help. If I'm really honest, I just begged for help. And literally, I got on a plane getting goosebumps, man. I got on the plane on the way home. I think I was there in Pattaya for like a month or something. And I was just hammered. I was on the plane. I was kind of like, clucking for more drugs. And I fell asleep on the plane. And I was like, I'm moving out of London. I'm moving out of where I live. And I literally got home, rang my mum up. I think I slept on my dad's settee for 2 days because I was still coming off the drugs. My mum came and picked me up and I had 2 black bags and I left. And then we drove down to Salisbury, which is like 2 or 3 hours away from where I used to live. And that was it. And then I started, obviously I went on and off the path a few times, but that was it. And it was like, it was a Buddhist path. Again, I'm not Buddhist, if you are.
Yeah. No, I'm not.
I just love their way of life. It's just, the Buddha said, you're the problem and you're the solution.
Yeah.
And I love that.
Yeah.
Don't blame anyone else. Don't moan about it. Take full responsibility. If you fucked up, then you can sort yourself out. And I don't know about you. Now I'm like, wow, if I really am in control of my reality, I can create the life that I want. So then since then, it's just been an incredible adventure of transformation. So blessed. But I also went to AA and NA like you and met a circle of friends. And I really like what you said there. For some people that are listening, it is very hard when all you know is the cards that you get dealt. So all of your friends that are taking drugs, your family, all my family are drinkers, Yeah.
Same with my dad was a heavy drinker.
Yeah.
My mum not. My uncle died an alcoholic. My friends at the time when I was working, you work hard, you play hard.
Yeah.
And I didn't know anything else. And it was actually my wife at the time, who was an artist, who didn't drink, who's devoted her time to art, actually showed me there was maybe a different way into kind of creativity and self-reflection.
Nice.
Because I was the extrovert party person. She used to like to stay home and do her drawings, do her painting and surrender and dissolve into her art. I couldn't get it at the time. Now I understand. Now I understand. I get it. We're still friends now. She's coming over in a few months. So I resonate with what you say with the self-reflection, because as soon as you realise that it's not everybody else out there doing something to me,
it's me doing
it to me. Yeah. It's me picking up this drink and doing it. It's me abusing my body. It's me being an arsehole.
But you don't know why you're doing it. I think that's why I was asking you again, is like, why do you know why you hit rock bottom? For me, it was like I just really had this low self-worth, this lack of self-love. And every now and then that still pops up. I can still see that, it's something I'm always probably going to have to work on, which I love. It's kind of the gift in a way. If you find out what the thing is that's making you self-sabotage, basically the darkness can become your light. So now I invite it in for a coconut and we have a chat and I go into that shadow. But back then I didn't know, and it was just driving these chaotic and crazy behaviors. So I think what you're saying, and if anyone's listening, is like the first step is awareness.
Totally.
You've got to be aware. It's like, okay, right, I'm doing that. What's deeper? Like, why am I doing it? I don't enjoy it. I feel suicidal. I'm depressed. Everyone else is doing it. Like, why am I doing that? And you might come to some stuff that you don't want to face, which is why I love Buddhism, because it gets you to really sip that shit. And you're like, Okay, I hate myself. Guys, I know you're enjoying the video, but I've got a quick question for you. Are you okay with that monkey mind being a monkey? We've all got this voice inside the head, or voices filled with self-doubt, criticism, judgment. But most people don't understand how important it is to master that monkey mind. So look, if you've got a monkey mind or a voice that is just busy inside your head and it never seems to shut up, I know exactly how you feel. And thankfully, I found meditation about 20 years ago. And so, I have an amazing opportunity for you. It's the Bodhi Meditation Teacher Training Program. This 10-week program is designed to share with you 8 Bodhi meditations. And the amazing thing about these meditations is that they are scientifically proven to help you reduce stress, reduce anxiety, uplift your mood, boost your energy. In other words, create that kind of lifestyle, that energy and that health and that happiness that most people crave. Over the course of 10 weeks, I'm going to be your meditation coach. And at the end of this course, you're going to become a certified Bodhi meditation teacher. That means that you can coach people one-to-one, you can work from anywhere in the world, build online courses, or even teach meditation at yoga retreats or anywhere you decide. So click that link below and together will open up your heart so that you wake up feeling positive and literally this buzz for life. The link is below. Now you can get back to your video. Have an amazing day.
Ultimately, Brett, I didn't love myself. I was typically searching for love, appreciation, validation on the outside. I wasn't able to look within myself to find that love.
Yeah.
I didn't know what fucking self-love was, you know? So I think...
And I don't know about you, you probably really took the piss out of somebody.
Yeah.
I'd be like, what's
exactly
about you gay or
hippies?
Hippie or you spiritual weirdo or I would have really been like...
I think we are programmed, conditioned to search for love on the outside. Oh, you give me love, you know, I love you. I take love from this thing as opposed to kind of feeling that love from the inside within yourself. I say it now and it feels very normal, but if I was having this conversation with somebody 15 years ago, be too woo-woo.
And I bet there's some bloke, there's going to be some blokes watching this on YouTube thinking, what are those puffs on? What are I mean? But it's like, I don't know about you. I feel more grounded and strong as a man than I've ever felt. Now I've come on this path of loving myself and waking up. Whereas before, being that dude that was out here and like, I was so weak.
Because you needed something else, and you needed external validation to feel your own self-worth.
100%.
Whereas you don't need that now because you have that from the inside.
Yeah.
Boom.
Which is kind of coming on to another topic. Do you think this is why so many people are chasing fame and fortune and they're chasing all of this stuff? Like you see a lot of this masculine kind of energy in the world, which is just not my... Don't get me wrong. I get there's masculine, feminine energy, but there's some masculine energy which is just like, I'm like, what are you blokes on about? You haven't got a clue, right? And they're being like, you've got to be a man, you've got to wear this Rolex and you've got to get the Lamborghini, you've got to do this. I'm just like, wow, you're so lost inside. You're still trying to chase that validation on the outside. And it's not just men, you know, women do it as well because they're trying to get in relationships. But it's like, I think the societies that we live in have programmed all of us to look outside of ourselves when what really we want and what's like the main treasure is already within you, right?
I think you just hit the nail on the head there. That's it. There's another book in the making.
Podcast over.
Done, yeah.
Get the coconuts.
It's all inside,
Get your beads out, we're finished.
I mean, you only have to scroll through Instagram or TikTok and look at some of the content out there, and it's just like, really just blows my mind as to where potentially this world is going to with how people focus on the external things and the Lamborghinis, the fancy watches, the girls that they need to look successful and popular. But inside there's probably a little boy, little girl that needs self-love, that needs the wants care and attention. I don't know. I know that was me, you know.
Me too.
I was out there partying, the big person, the big guy, but inside I was unhappy. I was sad. I remember the first time I cried in a Tantra workshop, maybe, I don't know, 10 years ago. And I bawled for maybe 2 hours, cried because I hadn't cried for probably since I was a kid.
In England, it's like you don't...
No, you don't do it. You don't do it. You just take some more alcohol. Just stiff upper lip, move on, you know?
Yeah, I don't think I've ever spoke to my dad about emotions or I've never seen him
Never.
upset. Never, you know? And my mum as well, you know, they just like that emotion, it's just cut off. And then I wonder why I'm like, you know, like you say, chasing everything on the outside. Going back to that Tantra path, which obviously we was going to get there. And also just to let everybody know, like, Tristan, you was a DJ back in the day getting bang on it, and now he's an ecstatic dance DJ. And we're going to come into that in a minute because I want to let people know that I don't know about you, but when you first give up all the stuff, like then you're like, well, what do I do? I've got no friends. You know, you start feeling a bit kind of isolated or alone, unless you've got like communities like AA and NA. You can't really go out clubbing and partying with your mates because everyone's taking drugs. So you're like, well, you can feel like this is boring. And I remember feeling like that. And now I've worked with hundreds of people over the years. They all say the same things, like, well, what do I do with my life? I'm bored. But like when I look at you and I look at me and the people that we know on this island, we're living our best lives, right? We was in the sauna the other day having ice baths, and I was like, fancy a curry? We went for a vegan curry. It's like, it's brilliant, right? And now you're like, you was DJing Sunday to a load of people. 200 people turned up at his club or at the party.
It's not a club, it's an ecstatic dance.
Ecstatic dance, sorry,
conscious rave.
Conscious rave, which I want to get into.
Yeah, we're going to that.
And there was another thing else I was going to get into, but sorry, just get into it straight away. Tantra, that was it. Do you feel like going to that Tantra workship and crying was like a good pivotal point for you to get to where you are now?
Oh my God, yes. I mean, it was actually a Tantra festival. I went to my first Tantra festival thinking that it was all going to be sex. I think
we're so the same.
Yeah, I thought I was going to go to a Tantra festival 6 days. I'm going to be having sex every day. It's going to be amazing. Basically, I spent 6 days bawling my eyes.
Right.
It was the worst and the best time of my life.
But it was probably better than actually having loads of random sex with people.
Yeah. I really cracked open on the inside and peeled different layers of myself, and I was able to release a lot of the stuff that I've been holding on to. I didn't know that I've been holding on to this stuff, and it started this deeper path of looking at myself. It was a massive changing point. And also during that same festival, that's when I rediscovered dance music. 10 o'clock.
Sober.
Sober. So going back to what you said earlier about being a DJ, I used to be a DJ in the late 90s, early 2000s in a club. I had a 2-hour DJ slot, DJing, 500, 600 people in a club. The lifestyle that went with that was drugs and alcohol and partying, all that kind of stuff. And I decided after 2-3 years, I couldn't continue with this. I had to leave that lifestyle behind because it didn't work well with the corporate lifestyle. You know, I had the corporate job, plus I had the DJing, and I loved the drugs, I loved the alcohol, I loved the music, I loved the women, but they didn't marry together, and I chose the career. So I gave the music up. And for me, I couldn't listen to dance music or electronic music without that being the trigger for me wanting to have a beer, get on it, get a pill, smoke a joint, whatever. If I couldn't listen to that music because it reminded me of this past. Anyway, so 15 years passed, and I go to my first Tantra festival, I think 2013, 2014. And it's 10 o'clock in the morning, and they're playing some banging trance music at 10 o'clock in the morning, and people are just having it. And I'm looking around, and I'm like, oh my God, everyone's sober. And there's young people, there's people my age, there's older people. And I was just like, wow, where the fuck am I? This is amazing, yeah? And it was so foreign for me to be in that environment where people are having such an embodied experience, such a fun time without the need to consume.
Did you feel awkward to dance at first? And
No!
You just went straight
No, I just went straight in. I was just like, whoa, I've been waiting for this all my life. Didn't know it existed. Boom,
mate, I was the opposite. When I went to my first ecstatic dance and everyone's sober, I was just sort of standing. I was like, shit, how do you dance? Because I've only ever danced on the E's or I felt so self-conscious when I first went.
But you can tap back into that ecstasy dance.
Yeah.
Did the bog...
Now I'm naked. I'm on the roof going mental. But my first one, I was like, whoa. So yeah, sorry, mate, go on, carry on.
Yeah, so that reignited my passion for music. Like I said, I used to DJ back in the late... I used to DJ back in the early 2000s, and then in 2013, 14, I went to this Tantra festival, and my passion or my excitement for music had been reignited by experiencing conscious dance.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh my God, this is great. And then I come back to Koh Phangan, where I'm living, and I go to my first ever ecstatic dance, 2014, 15, here on the island, by a friend of mine. Blew my mind. And I'm like, so I was still a little bit kind of like, I think then some of my inhibitions had come back because I'm not in a festival environment. I'm here on the island surrounded by people I know. But going to this ecstatic dance, there's like 30 of us, and having this like experience of like, this is great. You know, 1 minute I'm dancing to hip hop, the next minute I'm dancing to techno, then I'm lying on the floor, and then I'm rolling around with this person. This is like, this is nuts. Oh my God. And I remember saying to the DJ at the end, like, can I have the music that you've got? I really want your music. And he said yes, and he gave it to me on a USB stick. I went off, went back to the UK, and then it started my path again for learning how to DJ. And I went back to the festival that I'd been to the previous year and said, hey, look, can I DJ? I hadn't really DJ'd in 15 years. And they're like, yeah, sure. And I had my first DJ gig at the festival that I'd been at the year before.
Brilliant. And you said something earlier, which I really want to share with other people. It's like you blagged it and made it up as you went along. And now you're like you're one of the main DJs on this island. And like everyone loves you. They always talk about Tristan's set when I hear him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's all right. And then...
I didn't know what I was doing. I knew I could pick, obviously, I could pick the music, but from the technical side, I'd forgotten a lot of it. And because
back in the day, it was vinyl, right?
Back in the day, it was vinyl. And the thing is, you could DJ with vinyl whilst being off your head because you didn't have an LCD screen to look at, you know? So now I'm moving to digital, which is a different setup and everything. You got sync and all this kind of stuff. I didn't really know how to use it, and I haven't got the patience to sit down and look at a YouTube video to learn how to do it. So I just kind of like started doing it and sussed it out. And after a few months, it kind of, it was a success. Yeah.
And now that's where you are. That's what you do, right? You're the ecstatic dance dude. You're the DJ.
Yeah, organising.
And you organising your own festival. Yeah, go on.
So basically, after that experience in England of going to the Tantra festival, I then went off on it's another journey. It was going off to Europe and going to another Tantra festival and then experiencing probably one of the best ecstatic dance DJs I've heard in the world put an ecstatic dance together. And I had that moment. I'm on the dance floor. My hands are in the air. I'm dancing to techno. The next minute, I'm dancing to like classical music. And I'm like, wow, I want to do this in Koh Phangan. And I just had this picture of me in Koh Phangan with the sound system and like loads of people in front of me dancing. It was just so clear in my head. And the dance finished. And then I went up to my girlfriend and I was like, I want to do this in Koh Phangan. You want to do it with me? You want to open ecstatic dance? And she's like, yeah, okay, cool. So that year, the following year, we went back 2015, 16, and started ecstatic dance here in Thailand.
And now you do it every week, right?
No, yeah, 3 times a month.
3 times a month.
Yeah. There is. I work with a group of 4 DJs who work together. But yeah, there's 2 dances every week.
So you've got Pyramid on a Sunday.
Pyramid on a Sunday and on a Friday, and hopefully we're starting another venue, which I can't quite mention at the moment because we haven't signed the contract, on a Tuesday. So yeah, there'll be 3 dances a week.
And mate, honestly, if you're listening and if you're kind of new to this kind of path and you're kind of similar to me and Tristan, or you're going through a journey and you're thinking, I could never go to that kind of dance, I'm like sober, like it is the best feeling in the world. After I got over that self-consciousness.
No, it's not, Brett. What are you lying about? It's the worst. Like I'm going to ecstatic dance. It's going to be full of weird hippies dancing, expressing. Oh my god, it's horrible. I remember going to my when I went to my first ecstatic dance in I forgot about this. I should just remember. I went to my first ecstatic dance in Ubud in Bali. I lasted 20 minutes. I ran away. Yeah, it freaked me out, man. I ran out. Yeah,
that's what I was saying to you when you were first went. Did you feel a bit awkward and self-conscious?
Yeah, totally.
You said no.
No, I did. Yeah, so I just remembered my memory's not so good, you know.
Your age, mate, innit?
Just remember that the first time I did go to ecstatic dance, the big one was in the yoga bar.
The yoga bar. This is my first one as well.
Yeah.
In Bali.
I hated it.
Brilliant.
It was just too. And the funny thing was, 1 year ago I was in Bali and I was DJing there.
Yeah, 1 year after you mean?
No. 1 year ago, so probably 10 years after I went there.
I
went there and I'm actually DJing there, holding the ecstatic dance. And
that was my first experience with ecstatic dance. Like I said, I got there and everyone was just off on one dance. And like you said, there was classical music, there was like house music. Like the DJ was so good, but I was just standing there so self-conscious, thinking, oh my God. And I've never danced sober and I'm trying to move. 20 minutes later, mate, I was rolling around and I was in love with it. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't quite go that far because a big thing for me.
This is why I was asking. Do you get? Go on.
Yeah, so I was triggered by seeing people express themselves so openly.
Yeah, because they're mental, right?
It's like fucking hell. They look mental. They're running around. They're dancing so freely. They must be on drugs. Why can't I do that?
Yeah.
So I start to judge it. You know, it's like I don't feel that free within myself, you know, so I just ran away.
Especially being us British, right? We're not really the expressive kind of type. And when you go to these dances here and ecstatic dance, people are all over the place. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally get that.
But once I overcame myself I think I went to another one maybe here on the island, and I started to get back into the music. It's a process to get back into it. And yeah, you start to, I don't know, you get over yourself basically, and you just step to that edge of comfort. And you just step to the edge, and then you step over, and then you realize, okay, I'm just as weird as everybody else.
Probably
We're all being weird together. Great. And then you start to enjoy it. You stop judging it, and you start to enjoy it.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So what about now then? What's the plan now? You've got a big festival coming up in Sweden or something?
Yeah, we have a really amazing brand called Ecstatica Festival.
Ecstatica Festival.
ExtaticaFestival.com. You can check out the website. Maybe the link's below on this. Yeah. I have no idea. So basically, we have a festival happening in Ängsbacka in Sweden. It's a big community in July. And we also have another one happening.
July 2024, right?
July 24. And then we have another one happening, I think it's going to be June in Austria. So it's basically a combination of ecstatic dance, breath work, yoga, biohacking, some weird fun stuff, and we put it all together in a festival. And I do it with a friend of mine, Niraj from Soma Breath. Some of you guys may have heard of Soma Breath. We created this festival idea 4 years ago, and we stopped during COVID, but now we're reigniting the festival and taking it back out into the world.
Is Niraj going to be there as well?
He is, yeah, of course he is, yeah.
He used to be here, right? And then he went to
Yeah.
Ibiza. Where is he now, in Ibiza?
Currently in Ibiza,
Yeah, I haven't seen him for ages.
Yeah.
Amazing, man. It's funny. I used to go to Ibiza to do retreats years ago.
But before then, what did you go to Ibiza for?
I went for lots of ecstasy and passion.
Yeah, totally passion.
I think the first time I went to Ibiza, my mum and dad took me, bless them, and they took two of my mates. My mate had a motorbike crash, I think, the second day. I went missing for 2 or 3 days because I was off my head on ecstasy. And we came back, and my mum was like complaining, or not complaining, but she's like, they was terrible. I'm like, Mum, why would you take 3 16-year-old kids to Ibiza? Like, just let them go off on their own. She's like, yeah, well, I didn't really think about that. I just want to make sure you was all safe, bless her. But anyway, the reason why I was saying it is I used to go to Ibiza, just to get completely smashed and have a party. And then I went back now on this kind of side of life after finding myself a bit more and started doing yoga, meditation, breathwork retreats there. And I took a group of people, and there was this like kind of daytime, ecstatic dancing.
Yeah.
We was with like a couple of Irish guys that, what the Irish like. They like the English, right? They love their drink. We was with a couple of beautiful, beautiful souls. And none of them had ever really danced sober. And so we got to this ecstatic dance. I was like, boom, I was gone because I felt more comfortable now. And then I kid you not, within about 5 or 10 minutes, they slowly came over and everyone's kind of bopping and kind of moving around. And I kid you not, by the end of it, we was the liveliest bunch in there. And there were definitely some people that were off their faces, right? And it just blew me away that you can still go to things like Ibiza, or you can still come to places like Thailand. And now I probably have more fun than when I did when I took the drugs, because now I just feel more free. I obviously don't have these come downs and all this suicidal depression and all that stuff after for a week or so. And I just want to say that to people. It's like you can go on the other side, and it might feel awkward. You're doing something out of the ordinary. It feels a bit uncomfortable. And obviously you're going to start to meet new people and find new friends. But if you are going through it, like honestly, like this path now, for me, it's like 1,000,000 times better than the path that I was ever on.
Because how many times have you been to a festival? Countless, yeah?
Yeah,
Countless.
ridiculous amount.
And how did you feel after a festival?
Oh, like crap.
Like crap,
The last time I DJ'd at a festival,
Yeah.
I was DJing at a silent festival. I can't remember the name of it. It's a pretty big one. I was DJing and I did a silent festival slot. So there's one DJ there and there's one there. You can't hear anything and everyone's got headphones on, right? And he's like, we're having a battle off trying to get as many people to dance to your music. And for some stupid reason, I took 3 ecstasy pills and went back to my tent and just stayed in my tent having this weird trip. And that was the last time I was like, I can't, like you said, I was like, the music and the DJing, it was just so associated with just taking drugs. And I just felt so shit. I was like, that it just has to go.
That's it.
Like it just has to stop.
Yeah,
now, like again, it's kind of similar to you, 10 years later, dancing like free, ecstatic dance and stuff. It's incredible, right? What made you ask that anyway?
The reason I asked that question was, imagine going to a festival where you feel better when you leave than when you arrived.
Yeah.
That's what we've done with Ecstatica. You have a 3 or 4, 5-day experience with us, and you leave the festival feeling freaking amazing.
Yeah.
You've met a beautiful bunch of people. You've created connections with people. You've maybe learned some new skills. You've danced your ass off. You've had a great time, and then poof, you come out the other end. Hopefully, I don't know if a changed person's the right word, but you've had an experience, and you feel better than when you arrived.
You just made me think of the first yoga festival I went to. A little bit different, but they had ecstatic dance there, but it was more focused on yoga. I went on my own. I didn't know anybody. And that was about 15 years ago. And I've still got friends from that same festival. We've done events together.
Yeah.
We've traveled together. And it just opened, so I would say, and even if you haven't got any friends and you don't know if you've got anyone to go with, just go. Just go and meet somebody, because what's actually happening, if you look at it from a level of consciousness, if you are at a rock bottom and you want to make some changes, you've got your consciousness, which is your awareness. You're going to go and meet a new group of people in a different kind of vibration or energy. You're going to outgrow your old friends.
Sure.
That's just obvious that's going to happen. And then when you go there, they're on a different kind of frequency or vibration, and then it's going to spark off new friendships, And so that to me was probably one of the best things, like realizing that there were other people out there that were sober, that were a bit weird like me, that wanted to talk about spirituality and meditate. And now I think the last time I went to ecstatic dance was your one at on a Friday night. It's an event here. Is it Friday night you do it?
It's Friday night, yes, correct.
Pissing down with rain. It's like being in England. We're in kind of like the jungle of Thailand. There's rain coming down. Tristan's in this DJ booth. He's the only one that's in the dryer because he's got his little thing over to look after his decks, obviously. But on a serious note, the fire pit somehow was still going. And we were just dancing in the rain, mate. And you done the best set I've heard. It was like absolute banging. And then there's saunas and ice baths and steam rooms next door. And we were just going in and out of the ice bath, coming back, raving with you, going back. Honestly, mate, it was one of the... And completely sober, woke up the next day, did yoga. And again, I came home just feeling so high on life. I think that's what it's doing. It's activating this buzz inside us, right?
Amazing. I mean, I remember when I went to an ecstatic dance festival and danced 5 days in a row. I left the festival. I literally floated out the festival, not because I was high, because I felt so freaking good. I'm doing yoga in the morning, and a couple of dances during the day, and maybe there's a sound healing in the nighttime, and it's just all this body stuff, moving, and associated with healthy eating and not drinking alcohol. Felt amazing, really good.
Cool, huh?
So we've got access to all this, luckily, on the island, and I think this is what we wanted to do. I wanted to do with the festival, me and Niraj. We wanted to take all the amazing things that we've experienced here on the island and take it out to the world. That's why we want to take the festival to Austria. That's why we want to take it to Sweden, and maybe in the future we take it out to Ibiza. So for the people that are listening that can't come to Thailand for whatever reason, maybe it's easier to come to somewhere in Europe, you can come and experience a little bit of what we've experienced on our journeys, to kind of leave that old destructive lifestyle behind and make a real change in your life.
Yeah, it's amazing, man.
Yeah,
honestly. Yeah, I'll be there, mate. I'm coming.
You're booked.
I'm coming Sweden.
You're booked.
Yeah. So depending on where you're watching this, mate, make sure you click the link below, get your tickets, come and see me and Tristan, come and say hello, and have a coconut in Sweden. Do they do coconuts in Sweden?
They do, but they're probably very expensive.
Yeah.
Who knows? Yeah.
I'm going to take my own branded coconut.
Yeah. We're going to have to come up with something. Branded coconuts. What do they have in Sweden? What's the thing? They have a lot of bread, don't they?
Lots of beautiful women.
Beautiful women and bread. You could have your own
women and bread.
branded
I like the way both of our brains are. I'm on the beautiful women, you're on the bread. Brilliant.
Oh my God, yeah.
On a serious note, though, I really enjoy talking to you, not just on this podcast, just in general. Me and Tristan, actually, we got a little motorbike gang, haven't we? We call it Odie Bikers. And there's a little few of us that we haven't been out for a while, but we kind of go out on the motorbikes, we get the motocross, we go in the jungle, we've had some adventures, which is incredible. And it's so nice. Like, something that I really see in you and I really value is that you're not in your kind of like, we're all in our ego, we're all in our stories in some way, but you're not in this kind of macho bullshit that I've been around years, You just seem very grounded. It's nice to talk to another man just on a level. And we can talk about anything. We can go deep and talk about relationships. Then we can be really silly and talk about trumpets.
Thank you. Yeah.
We can talk about absolutely anything.
Should we talk more about the trumpet,
Should we talk about the trumpet?
No, what did you talk to me the other day? You
About
wanted
the trumpets.
No, it's before then. You were about relationships. We were talking about
Ejaculation. Yeah.
Ejaculate?
Yeah, and that's how we got to the trumpets.
Yeah. Should we talk about that?
So I asked Tristan, this is because Tristan's got a tantric background, obviously.
Let me talk into that. So basically part of my journey of spiritual awakening, if I can call it that. It's a bit cliche. Has been the Tantra path. And like I said before, I thought the Tantra path was just going to be sex and going to orgies and stuff like that. But it wasn't for me. It was really about looking at myself on a deeper level, shedding the layers of protection that I put around myself. And that's what Tantra gave me. So Tantra was a path of opening myself up to a deeper love within myself. Once I've been able to love myself, I can then receive and give love to other people. Yeah. So that's the tantric journey for me. Just putting it into a frame.
I absolutely love and respect you for that, because the same thing, I've mentioned it on another podcast. I went to my first workshop. I turned up naked with condoms. I was ready for it. And it was just a group of men. I was like, got that one wrong, and I didn't really.
Or maybe you got the right one, Brett.
Yeah, maybe I got the right one.
Yeah, who knows?
On a serious note, it was the best workshop I think I've ever done.
Yeah.
Guys were crying. You know, I was sitting there feeling so uncomfortable talking about the experiences that I was having. And I came away from that and I'm like, I'm so glad it weren't an orgy. And the path that I've been on, I've been to so many tantric workshops. There's never really been any sexual contact. There's been touch and there's been eye gazing and lovely things. And obviously I know that exists if I want to go down that. But the thing that I've got from it more is stripping away the layers of my own bullshit, the insecurities that I felt as a man. And it's made me, truly love myself. I've had Tantra coaches, men and women have coached me for weeks and gone through these journeys. And it's just really made me feel so comfortable with my own skin. So I'm glad that you mentioned that, because if anyone is listening, they might think it is, even though I take the piss out of it sometimes, it is just about a big fat orgy. But with that said, which obviously there is a lot, and I'm sure Tristan's been to a few. With that said, I was asking Tristan a really important question, so I'm glad you did bring it up, is that when I ejaculate or when I, have one night stands or in the past and I've been with women, it really doesn't fulfill me anymore. In fact, if I'm really honest, like going on this yoga path and trying to, I don't want to use a word, but be a bit more pure, whether it's like not taking drugs, not eating certain food, and also not kind of being mindful of my sexual desires, like it actually makes me depressed. Like if I ejaculate, especially if I used to watch pornography, or if I would go and, meet a girl and there was nothing in it, it was just animalistic, I would feel so down on myself. And it felt like I was disconnected from God or the universe. It was crazy. So I've been on this journey for like the last, nearly 10 years of trying to understand myself and not ejaculate. I've been to Manchak Chia's place in the, he's a guy that wrote a book called Multi-Orgasm Man. Yeah, and he teaches you how to not ejaculate and have these inner things. So I was asking Tristan about it, like, do you still ejaculate? And that's why I love it, because we were sitting in a curry house in Koh Phangan, and we're just sitting around the table, like, yeah, mate, do you still ejaculate? And I would have never had that conversation with a man years ago.
Where we live, that conversation is pretty normal. And I think my reply was maybe like once a month I ejaculate. So sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. So I sublimate the energy.
Sublimate, for people who don't know, what does that mean?
Oh, sublimate. So if you're having sex or if you're masturbating, you feel the energy build up around your cock and your balls.
Yeah.
And if you continue having sex or doing my hand, if you continue making love, having sex, fucking, whatever you want to call it, that energy builds up and eventually you ejaculate. If you can take that energy that's building up and move it up through your body, sublimate it, up into your heart, up into your what's this? Third eye, whatever. Just move it up through your body. You can prolong the state of orgasm or not orgasm at all, and eventually you can move into a full body orgasm. So,
which is so, for a man to be listening to that, I was like, what on earth are you on about? You don't ejaculate, but you have an orgasm.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? I just thought you just had to get it over with, sort of thing.
Yeah. So it's a combination of breath work. It's a combination of breathing, combination of exercises that you probably did with Manchak Chia, with using the, what's that muscle called?
Not the pineal, that's that one.
That's the pineal canal, the perineum.
Perineum, that's
so
it.
squeezing the perineum.
Which is the muscle down between your anus and your balls, right? You squeeze that.
Yeah, so basically a really simple technique can be, if you're having sex or if you're masturbating, taking yourself to maybe 60 or 70%, 100% being blow off, 80% being the point of no return, taking yourself to that 60 or 70% mark and edging, taking yourself to that point.
And then coming back.
Pausing a little. If you're making love, pausing, breathing. You can actually, if you're with a woman, you can ask her to kind of massage the back of your neck or your upper body to take the focus of that energy up through your body. Pause for a little bit, and then you can continue.
Yeah.
So instead of having sex that lasts for, I don't know,
1 minute?
1 minute?
Twice a minute?
However long that is. You can have sex for hours.
Well, my first Tantra teacher...
You can have sex for hours.
He would be having sex with his partner like for 2 or 3 days. He said it would be like a weekend marathon for him.
That's intense.
And he wouldn't ejaculate, and they'd be like, you know, he was very out there, and he actually was in the Agama or whatever it's called. Anyway, lovely bloke. But I was just like, wow. I mean, again, on a serious note, what I would say Tantra is two people coming together for a higher level of consciousness. You become one to a divine level of consciousness. I know it's a bit woo-woo, but it really taught me more awareness. I had no awareness, and I would just ejaculate and feel crap, and like
you would now expel your life force.
And now you can.
You're building that energy. Think of all that energy you're creating. You have enough sperm that you're going to ejaculate to populate the whole of the UK, or is it the whole of Europe? It's a lot of energy there, and you're just letting it go out of your body. Yeah. So if you can,
that's why you feel like for me, I feel so drained. I'm so exhausted after. I'm like disconnected.
I'm sure that has something to do with it. Yeah, I mean, I feel exactly the same. This is why I only ejaculate once a month. Personally, I think it's healthy to ejaculate, not every day like I used to if I was masturbating. But yeah, at least once a month. And retaining that energy. So that energy, moving it back up into my body, and back up into the universe, back up into the cosmos, you know. And it circulates around, you know, universal law of energy. Just recreates.
We are literally the universe. I'm not being fluffy or woo about it. It's like common sense. It's like you're particles of this consciousness. Yeah. One thing that I love. Go on, mate. Go on.
But the best thing is you can make love for hours. Yeah. You know, it's hours. It's not over in 5 minutes. Boom, you fall asleep. Done. It's like no, you might make love for, you know, an hour, and in that hour time you may have paused for, you know, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. You're not just going for it forever all the time.
Which is like, kind of like the slowing down.
Yes, slowing down. Yeah, beautiful. And then you're able to get, for me, it's like having that connection with my partner. I can only make love or have sex or fuck, whatever you want to call it, a tantric partner. Yeah. Now I can't just have regular boring, mundane sex anymore, like one night stands. It just doesn't do it for me. There needs to be that deeper level of connection.
I think you hit the nail on the head. Like if you're on that kind of path, it's better to be on that path with somebody that's on the path as well, right? If you're not, there is definitely this misalignment.
For sure. You might as well just have sex with an orange.
Not a branded
or a branded
no.
It's not fulfilling.
When I read books, I'm really into entrepreneurship and success. I love both. I've got my feet in both of them. I love the whole spiritual woo-woo stuff. I'm out in the universe when I meditate, but I'm also in this beautiful thing that we call life and grounded, and I love creating wealth and success and giving back. So what I love though is when you read books, like one of the classic books like Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, and there's hundreds of these books. When you read like something like that, one of his main chapters is all about not using that sexual energy for sex and using it for creativity, using it for your success, and bringing it into this. So for me, that's another reason why. It's like, one, I don't want to just be an animal and just sleep around and just like dogs do that. I don't want to be an animal, right? And two, it's like, wow, my creativity disappears when I keep kind of ejaculating, keep, you know, losing it. And you can see now why so many young kids that are just watching porn and the society that we live in with all the images on TikTok and Instagram and stuff like that, they are depressed. You know, I've worked with young kids that feel suicidal. And I'm like, what do you do during a day? And they masturbate 2 or 3 times a day. Yeah. And like, you're feeling suicidal because you're really disconnected. Forget about the spiritual stuff. Like, you're just very disconnected from your true essence, yourself, which I think is crazy. So for me, it's great to have that relationship and connection with someone. But it's also like, wow, I really love feeling this energy. Like, I feel higher than any of the ecstasy I took in Ibiza 20, 30 years ago. I feel so absolutely buzzing more than the crack and the cocaine.
From not jizzing.
From not jizzing, from not drinking alcohol. You know, it's an absolute buzz to be alive, to be alive. And I think that all of those little things are adding up to that.
Amazing. Yeah. Super good.
It's amazing, right?
Yeah.
Hello, you amazing viewer. I hope you're enjoying this video, and I've got some really exciting news for you. You know that moment when you're reading a book and it just ignites that light bulb moment for you? It wakes something up inside you, that passion, that enthusiasm, or that spark for life. Well, the big announcement is my new book, Awaken Your Spirit, is ready for either pre-order or, depending on when you're watching this book, you can order your copy right now. Over the last couple of years, I've poured my heart and soul into writing Awaken Your Spirit. I don't know about you, but sometimes that voice inside the head just never seems to shut up. Well, this book shows you a step-by-step process on how to really close your eyes and go inside and separate from this monkey mind and this never-ending conversation that goes round and round and round. Whether you're seeking inner peace, you're looking to recharge your batteries, or you want to feel more grounded and in harmony with life, this book has got something for you, and it's going to show you how to connect to a very deeper level within you. Now, I don't want to keep any more of your time. Get back to the interview. And again, if you're somebody that really is looking to get back in the driving seat of your life, master this monkey mind, reach your full potential and ignite that excitement, that enthusiasm and that passion for life, make sure you awaken your spirit just below. Have an amazing day and enjoy the rest of the video.
Coming back into what you just said with actually using that energy, I mean, I noticed I started to do it naturally when I was on this Tantra path, that instead of having the orgasm, semen spurting out my cock and it all going, I was naturally started to use this energy to visualize things that I wanted to call into my life. So as I was feeling this energy moving up through my body, I think the technique came from a tantric workshop. I would visualize myself sat on a beach drinking a coconut in Thailand or something like that, or whatever it was. And I was doing this thing, and I got to the point where I was visualizing things and they were happening like the next day, the next week. I didn't know about manifestation. It was just like something was happening. And then now as I've gone further into this path, into this journey, I'm realizing, all right, this energy of creation this sexual energy, we can use it to manifest and create within ourselves.
Yeah.
You know, so instead of just letting it go and ejaculate and done.
Yeah.
Okay, you feel that energy moving up. Okay, right. Don't let this orgasm go to waste. Okay, visualize in your mind's eye, what do you want to create? What do you want to call in? And I start to see it like it's already happening, like I'm already living it, or I'm already doing it. It's like the festival that we're doing in Sweden, you know? I was visualizing that before I even knew I was going to be doing it.
Yeah,
and then it came to me.
Tell us again. You told me the other day when we was having the curry, you thought about it, and then you standing in the queue, and the guy that was running the place was tell a story.
So in the summer, I was at the festival site called Angsbacka in Sweden, and I was in the main big area, and I was thinking the day before, I really want a home for Ecstatica in Europe. And then I was in Sweden, and I was walking to the stage, and I'm like looking at the stage and the big speakers, and I'm like, this is it. This is the place. This is the home for the festival. And I could see myself on the stage holding a mic, talking to people, and my friend Niraj was next to me, and I'm like, wow, this is it. 10 minutes later, my friend, assistant, who works with us on the project, she came up to me and she was like, we should do Ecstatica here. I was like, yeah, I know, I'm on it. 20 minutes later, I'm in the queue getting a coffee in the coffee shop, and I happened to be standing next to the festival coordinator, and I was like, Robin, can I pitch an idea to you? You got 5 minutes? He's like, yeah, sure. And then I pitched the idea of my festival. And then the next day I had a meeting with the director for the facility and everything, and yeah, they ended up booking us basically.
Now you're booked for next
now we're booked for 2024. So the whole point is, like, if you can see it and feel it and visualize it and imagine like it's already happening, anything is possible. It's only your mind and your limiting beliefs or your self-sabotage techniques, which we all freaking have. I have them. That can stop us from actually achieving our goals.
This is coming kind of on a serious note, bringing it back to the ejaculation and the path that we're on. It's like sometimes I see doing these normal things in society, going out on a weekend, getting drunk, having sex with people. It's like actually they actually hinder me. They take me further away from creating the life that I actually want. And now it's so normal to live in this matrix. That it's, to me, it's just mad. If you go back years ago to the yogis and like thousands of years ago, they was teaching us this stuff. You know, don't waste. This is life force. Have babies with it, but don't just ejaculate it. They probably didn't know much about Pornhub back then. And then they got us to visualize, and they got us to kind of like meditate on creating reality, because they was teaching their children that you are the universe. Nowadays, we've come so far away from that. So I love how you're saying. Like, I think it happens for me a lot faster as well. If I'm kind of like on my path and I'm on it and I think of something, it's like the next day somebody just walks straight in. I'm like, I just thought about you. Like literally, I was in the gym the other day thinking about this photographer called Tim. I was in a sauna. I was like, wow, I haven't seen Tim for a while. He's such a lovely bloke. I need to have a chat with him. And I kid you not, I came out the sauna and Tim was walking straight towards me. I'm just like, and I know it's small and it's tiny, but yeah, you can create festivals. You can live in houses on the beach. Like this whole podcast was a vision in the mind, you know?
Why am I here, Brett?
because I paid you to be here.
No, I'm here because probably 6 months ago, it's like, I really want to tell my story. I really want to do a podcast because I need to put my story out there.
Yeah.
But I don't know where to start. I haven't got all the equipment.
Brilliant.
But I would like to do one. Boom. I think you asked me maybe 3 months ago.
Yeah. And mate,
about
very
doing
good to be on a podcast as well.
Sorry?
You got a podcast voice.
Oh,
Very
podcast
good.
voice.
Yeah,
Is there such a thing as a podcast
I don't know,
voice?
but you ain't got the face, but you got a podcast voice.
Love you, Brett.
But yeah, this is back to what we're talking about. This is how I think. This for me now, this is the only truth I believe in. You've got all of these kind of religions which are wonderful and great, and spiritual journeys and shamans and gurus and monks and tantra paths. And then you've got obviously the governments and the societies. Everyone is just telling you a story. Like everything's a story. The only story that I truly believe in is that your intention, or the intention that I seem to be in or channeling, it creates my reality. If I wake up today and think, oh, I've got to interview Tristan, don't really like him, it's going to be shit, Antonio's going to be there in the background, he pisses me off, I'm going to have a crap podcast, or I'm going to have a really bad day,
Of course, yeah.
If I say my intention is, I can't wait for Tristan, this is going to be a laugh, can't wait to see Antonio, we're going to have a great day, it's turned out to be such a laugh.
Yeah.
So for me, the amazing thing, the reason why I want to say that so much is because that's the only thing you've really got control over in life. You can't control the weather, you can't control the government, you can't control your partner or your children, but you can control what's going on inside of you. Like, that's fascinating, right?
For sure. And even me getting here this morning, I had my little self-sabotage things pop up.
Go on.
I didn't sleep so well last night, so I wake up, I don't think I've got enough energy to go and do a podcast. Maybe I'm going to call Brett and see if I can reschedule.
Fascinating how the mind works.
And it's like, no, I'm not. Well, hang on. What am I doing here? I'm self-sabotaging.
Yeah.
No, this is going to be an amazing podcast. So I was like, I did wake up early. I didn't sleep so well last night. I got up and I did a bit of yoga. You inspired me with the yoga. I did 15 minutes of yoga and 20 minutes of meditation. And then I was like, this is going to be a great podcast. I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to not be nervous. All the things that were potentially coming up for me for not being here and to self-sabotage it. I was like, it's going to be great. It's going to be amazing. I'm driving here on my bike with a big smile on my face.
I love that.
Just thinking, why is he living on the other side of the island? It's a 20-minute drive from where I live.
You live in
okay. Yeah.
But on a serious note, that what you said there is like that reframing in your own brain is beautiful, right?
Yeah.
And that, I think, if you don't have that as a skill, if anyone's listening at home watching YouTube or whatever, like that really is the key to kind of like controlling your mind or your reality, is like how you're talking to yourself. Really,
For sure.
Isn't it? Forget all the spiritual manifestation, law of attraction crap. Like, just get really practical. It's like however you talk to yourself, you're going to have that kind of day or create that reality.
You're programming yourself, I'm going to have a shit day. This is going to be terrible. I'm going to be tired. Oh, I'm not going to meet anybody today. You start to say those things, that's going to happen.
Yeah.
If you reframe that, no, it's going to be a great day. I'm going to I don't know what to say. I'm gonna meet someone that's going to inspire me today. I'm going to have a beautiful conversation with somebody in the shop. I walk into the coffee place this morning, and I had a lovely conversation with the person behind the counter. Just the person serving me, because their energy was matching my energy. It's kind of like, I'm going to have a great day.
Yeah.
But 20 minutes before, my monkey mind was kicking in, and I was trying to talk myself out of not being here.
Yeah.
Because
why do we do that?
Because I have a massive fear about being seen, being exposed, sharing my story, being laughed at. It goes back to probably being at school. I used to hate speaking in front of public. I remember when I was at school, when I was probably 10 or 11, having to do one of those speeches. You wrote an essay or something, you had to read it in front of the class.
Yeah.
Doing it, and because I suffer from dyslexia, I can speak now happily, but if I have to read from a piece of paper, it's a disaster. And then being laughed at because I can't read this very simple thing from a paper. So that kind of stuck with me. So throughout my whole adult life, even when I was in the corporate world, I avoided doing any kind of presentation. If I could do it, just freestyle like this, easy. But if I have to read a presentation, forget it.
Over.
Yeah, get over. But now I've kind of got over that,
Yeah.
It's like I've gone on the whole journey.
It's amazing, man. And you're such a good speaker. You need to be getting your message out there, because I learn a lot from you, mate, when we have our little chats, and I can say, here, mate, do you still ejaculate? I go off and I'm so inspired by that. I want to have these conscious conversations with people. I'm just so done with the boring conversations in life. I still have a laugh. Obviously, you can see I take the piss, but there's always these little seeds
Yeah.
that I get when we have a conversation. I go off and I think, I'm like, yeah, you know, so thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank
My
you,
next
bro.
question to you is like, what's next for you then? Like, you've had an incredible life. Again, our lives are so similar. You know, you've kind of, now you inspire people through your music. I did notice that you put something on Instagram lately, and obviously you've got your festival coming up. Do you want to just tell us where you envision yourself going over the next 6 to 12 months?
Wow, that's an interview question, Brett. I like it. I like your style. Thank you. Yeah, so the festival, is the big thing I'm doing. But one thing that's really like close to me at the moment is I've just turned 50. Well, not 8 months ago I turned 50, and it's like, wow, 50. It's old, you know. And I've since going back to the UK 4 months ago, I've piled on a few kilos here and there from being back home and being back home and sorry. Since going back to the UK, I noticed some of my old habits coming back in, you know, eating unhealthy food and stuff. And I started to put on about 5 kilos being back in the UK. And I came back to Thailand and I was like, I really want to change myself, my health, my diet. I've been kind of like this, you know, my weight does this, my weight goes down, my eating habits like that, you know, it's some of it's related to emotional stuff. But for now, I've started this personal journey for myself. I've just started an Instagram account documenting my weight as it was 2 days ago, which is 110 kilos, the heaviest I've ever been. And then once a week, I'm taking a picture of myself and documenting my weight over the period of time. And I don't know the techniques that I'm using to be losing weight. There's going to be an element of diet and exercise. I'm starting to work with a personal trainer. I'm starting to do yoga because, believe it or not, I'm actually a yoga teacher. But you didn't know that, did you?
No, I didn't know that.
Did the course once, starting to do the yoga again, and just changing my diet. And actually, we're very blessed to be here in Thailand that it's relatively easy to eat healthy.
Yeah,
you know, we have an abundance of healthy fruit. We don't have Asians don't have or Thais don't have bread so much in the diet. That was the big killer for me. So changing my diet, changing my exercise routine, and I've just got a watch that counts your steps. So I'm challenging myself to do 10,000 steps every day.
Nice.
Yeah. So just making the small changes in my life that are sustainable, because if I go in full power and say, right, I'm going to go to the gym 4 times a week, I'm going to do a yoga for an hour a day, it will last a week and then it will fall over.
You know yourself.
I know myself too well. I've just got to do it bit by bit, but I've got to be accountable. So that's why I did the Instagram
This is
account.
why I asked you, mate, as well. I'll keep
Yeah.
you accountable on this as well.
Totally.
Watch is in about a year.
Yeah. I've only got 1 follower at the moment.
Yeah.
Maybe it's my mum. So, with making myself accountable, that is the Instagram account, putting myself out there and getting support and help. So I'm luckily enough that I can afford to get a personal trainer to work with him 2 or 3 times a week, and maybe a dietitian to look at look at the food that I'm eating and how I'm eating and this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And obviously support from someone like yourself, you know?
Yeah, mate, I'll take the piss out of your belly all day. I'm the
You started it, actually. It was really funny. I walked into where were we? In the gym.
Santiva.
It was 4 days ago, and Brett was like, "Is that you, Tristan? I hardly recognise you. You put some weight on, mate." Just like straight up like that. And I was like, "Thanks, Brett. That's exactly what I needed to hear," because you know it's true. I put weight on, and it's like I really got to the point in my life you get to the point in your life when you're a little bit older that you need to take care of your body, because things start to hurt.
Yeah.
If you don't, you know, your stamina is not so great. You can only make love for half an hour as opposed to 2 hours. You know?
Your tricks, mate, on self making love.
So my thing at the moment is to go on this personal journey of fitness and health. Where it'll go, I don't know. And then the festival project, the Ecstatic Festival, is the big thing for 2024.
Mate, I love it. And again, I said that because it really comes from love. And I think sometimes, you know, you need somebody just to give us a good old real talk and raw, you know, and I think we have that lovely relationship.
Yeah, exactly.
Where I can say that to you. But I'm so glad. And it was so lovely to see the text, or you sent me a message of your Instagram. I was like, yeah, go for it.
I think it was the next day, wasn't it?
The next day, like, boom. And I was just like, boom, he really took that well. I was expecting to be deleted off of my Instagram account. But on a serious note, mate, yeah, thank you so much for your time.
Pleasure.
On this podcast. I'm excited to come to Sweden. I'm excited to listen to the journey. And I'm more excited, more than anything, from the bottom of my heart, to watch you go on this health journey. Because I just know the
Wow.
buzz. Yeah, I
Thank
just
you.
know
Yeah,
the
yeah,
buzz
yeah.
after. And it's like,
Thank you.
yeah, you're such a lovely guy. And I really
Thank
wanted
you,
to
bro.
smash it, bro.
Yeah, I really appreciate you asking me, and I'm glad that I was able to overcome my own self-sabotaging techniques to be here, you know.
Nice.
And I look forward to episode 2.
Boom.
Thank you guys for watching.
Anything you would say to anybody that is watching, if they are coming back all full circle, they are in a job they don't like, they're getting smashed on the weekend, they're back in the matrix, what would you say to somebody? Just one takeaway. Where would they start?
Just pack your job in. Really, fuck it. Look, is it really worth doing it? If doing something you hate doing, probably not. Just pack the job in.
And trust.
I mean, it's very everybody's situation is different. If you have a house and with a mortgage and kids and all this kind of stuff, you're very different to somebody that's maybe single and doesn't have that. But if you can't do that, change one thing. Whether you're like, okay, I'm going to try a weekend that I don't drink. I'm going to try one weekend when I don't go out and get smashed, or I'm going to go salsa dancing. I'm going to incorporate one different thing into my life. You know, don't look at the whole thing of like, fuck, I'm here now. I'm in this thing, and I really want to be like Brett Moran over here, like living the life of Buddha on a paradise island. And there's all these things that I need to do to get there. No, just one little step. Because I'm sure your journey and my journey, if I looked back of like where I am now and where I was, there's all these little things that we've done to get to this point. So it's just making one little positive change.
Yeah, I love that, mate. Yeah, just
Yeah.
one step at a time. Tristan, mate, thank you so much. Love you loads, bro.
Pleasure.
You're amazing. Hello, viewers. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'm hoping that you enjoyed it just as much as we enjoyed making it. We love this adventure we're on. We love growing this community, and we would love you to actually help us. So I've got a favor to ask you. Make sure that you subscribe below. And if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and turn that notification button on, because that actually helps us with the algorithm. In other words, it's going to help us reach more people and spread this ripple effect. And I really appreciate your time and energy for watching any video. So if you've got any comments or questions or queries, make sure you pop them in the box below. By subscribing, you're going to be one of the first people to know when we release new content. If you really want to take your journey and your growth to the next level, make sure you watch this next video and have an amazing day. Once again, thank you so much for your time and your energy. See you in the next video.